Hello, Wondrous Women. Today I wanted to talk about a situation that I was absolutely horrified to hear about yesterday. While we're celebrating International Women's Day, last night on the news I heard some really horrific statistics. The first one was that there are 600 women attacked in Australia every day. Of that 600 women, 149 of them was as a result of domestic violence. A third of those women were sexually assaulted, and the most common age that occurred was between 25 and 34. They then went on to tell us that the biggest targeted areas for these attacks and assaults was university. University, the place where we send our girls to try and become educated, to get better paying jobs, to be able to compete in a male-orientated world. That's where women were at their highest risk of being attacked. Now, that is disgusting. The second highest was trains, and the third, going to the movies. Who would have thought that going to the movies puts you in the third most dangerous place to be for a woman to be attacked? Even more horrifying than those results were ones that I saw earlier this year, where one woman every single week in Australia this year was murdered as a result of domestic violence. Just yesterday, in an area not far from where I live, another lady was found murdered in her home, and the number one suspect is the husband. This has to stop. This is a huge problem. It's a problem for women. It's a problem for the world. And it's one that needs to be addressed in a better way than it has been so far. Our newest Premier is a woman in New South Wales, Gladys Berejiklian, and she has brought in an initiative where men who have been put under an AVO are wearing now these ankle bracelets, which then can be monitored so that a woman who has an AVO against a known violent offender or ex-partner or husband can know where he is and whether he's coming close to her and alert police. That would seem to be one of the most proactive things that I've heard in this battle that we have to keep women safe. But the more that I think about it, I really think and believe that fixing this problem has to come from us, from the women themselves. We can't just point the finger at men and go, what's wrong with them? Why are they doing that? Why would they want to hurt somebody that they loved or that was the mother to their children? Or anybody for that matter. But why especially their wives? And that's very true. But every man had a mother. What I'm saying is that we need to fix this problem from the ground roots. We have these children, men, boys who become men, girls who become women. We are raising them up. Somewhere along that line, we're not doing a good enough job, because otherwise boys would know to love and respect their mothers. They would know that women need to be looked after and loved, not beaten and murdered. We need to make a serious effort to teach our boys from the word go that violence isn't acceptable towards anybody, but especially not towards a woman. We need to teach them by pointing it out, by making it obvious, by truthfully speaking to them and explaining what happens. I personally believe that honesty with children is the best policy. They are far smarter and aware and haven't had all the filters of society put into their brains when they're little. You can teach them what is right and wrong by explaining the honest truth of what happens to people. You don't need to scare children, but they need to understand that some men do these things. As children, they will naturally be horrified that anyone would behave this way. And if you get that into their subconscious mind while they're little, before they've played all those violent video games and before they've seen all of the movies, before they have drugs and alcohol influencing their life, their subconscious mind forms their values, and their values are what help to decide and make the decisions that they make in life. We need to plant the subconscious mind full of the type of men that we would love to be around, the type of men that wouldn't dream of hurting someone that they loved or even someone that they didn't love. There just simply is no excuse. Men who sexually assault a woman, there are people who work in the industry who they could easily go and pay some money to if it is purely about sexual gratification, but it's not. It's about power and control and just pure selfishness, expecting that whatever their desire is, that they should be able to have it satisfied by anybody whenever they feel like it. It's not the case. We need to teach our boys that selfishness isn't okay, that you do have to wait and develop and nurture a relationship before you can expect to have sex, and that it isn't natural to be just demanding it from anybody. And likewise, women need to take a stance and say that if we want men to behave differently, we are going to have to tell them what we find is acceptable. So if a young girl is dating and men expect to have sex on the first date because that's what they think they should have, if all young women just said, I'm sorry, but that's not ever going to happen, their expectation would change pretty quickly. Likewise, men who think that they can just have casual relationships with 5, 10 women, however many that they have or know, get sex from any of them, no commitment, no responsibility, no actual care or love. Women, once again, are in control of that. If that's what you're willing to accept, then keep on going, and that's what they'll expect. If you actually want a man to date you, to take you out, to think about you, to treat you like the person that's in the front of their mind, which is what they should be, then you've got to demand it. And if somebody's not willing to give it to them, well, then they can go and find somebody else. But if every woman had that attitude, it would go back to the old days when a man was desperate to find a wife. They would do anything to get a woman to actually want to marry them. They would woo them, they would court them, they would ask their parents for permission, they would have worked hard and saved hard to show that they were actually worthy of a woman. And that was what was expected, because that's what women upheld as being important to them. What I'm saying is that all of these things are 100% in our control. But women need to work together. There's no point in having 10%, 20%, 30% of women saying, well, this is this, and then having the rest go, oh, well, I really wish that I could have somebody tonight, or that I would be available for them whenever they ring me or whenever they want. We all have to stand together, because when women stand together, we can dictate what needs to happen in this world. And that, women, is what Wondrous Women is all about. Thank you.